Are you struggling in love, or are you on a quest to find your true soulmate? Perhaps many of us desire a sweet romance and a fulfilling marriage. However, in reality, time and again, we face setbacks and heartaches. The journey of understanding love and learning how to love is also a path full of lessons to strengthen oneself. You can grow by learning from your own experiences in love or through observations and experiences in life. Another way to enrich your wisdom in love is by exploring classic books. There is a novel that is considered an encyclopedia of love. The New York Times has hailed it as the most beautiful love story in the history of humankind. It is the first novel by Gabriel Garcia Marquez, written right after his Nobel-winning work, and it is also the piece he was most satisfied with. This novel is called Love in the Time of Cholera. The book tells the story of a love that endures for more than half a century. Florentino Ariza, a poor young man, falls in love with Fermina Daza, a beautiful girl from a wealthy family. Yet, the differences in status and wealth keep them apart. Fermina marries another, while Florentino works hard to improve himself in hopes of reclaiming the true love of his life. After 51 years, 9 months, and 4 days, marked by countless ups and downs, the two finally reunite. This is a love story that transcends the test of time. Remarkable, isn't it? Yet behind this brilliant love story lies a harsh reality that everyone must contemplate. Love cannot be built on genuine emotions alone. It requires a comprehensive harmony of strengths. If you and your partner cannot truly connect, then no matter how intense or passionate your love is, it may gradually wither over the years. A warm greeting to all of you. Welcome to Rise Up, a channel sharing knowledge for comprehensive self-development through great books. Today's video presents an insightful discussion titled, If You're Not Good Enough, Loving Anyone is Useless, inspired by the famous novel Love in the Time of Cholera, by the great Colombian author Gabriel Garcia Marquez. Let's dive in and listen together. If you are not good enough, no amount of love will save your future. Florentino Ariza, the protagonist of the story, is the illegitimate son of the founder of a wealthy and powerful transport company. However, he was never acknowledged or brought into the spotlight. All of Florentino's support from his father was kept a secret. One day, his father suddenly passed away, cutting off his financial support. Florentino had to drop out of school and start working at the post office to make a living. During one of his telegram deliveries, Florentino met Fermina. Her eyes, like flowers, accidentally glanced at him, causing Florentino's heart to race. To attract Fermina's attention, he would sit every morning on a chair in the garden near her house, pretending to read a poetry book and constantly write letters to her. In these love letters, he would tuck in petals with tiny poems inscribed on them. Late at night, he would often stand near her house and play his guitar softly, lulling her to sleep. Gradually, Fermina began to develop feelings for this young man. Their relationship grew quickly, and Florentino began proposing to Fermina. However, everything took a turn against expectations. Because Fermina was still a student, she was disciplined and expelled from school. Her father was furious and went to Florentino to shout, "Don't get in our way." To a newly wealthy businessman with little education, his daughter was seen as a pawn for the future, while Florentino, an illegitimate child, was nothing but an obstacle in his path. Therefore, Fermina's father decided to distance them by sending her away from home. However, no matter where Fermina went, Florentino could always send her love letters. Unable to separate the two lovers, her father eventually allowed Fermina to decide for herself about marriage. After a long period of separation, Fermina met Florentino again. But now, in her eyes, Florentino seemed poor, ugly, and shabby, like a wandering beggar, completely different from the charming prince she once envisioned. She suddenly realized that the love that had obsessed her was merely an illusion. Thus, she firmly broke up with Florentino. There is a line in the book, "The weak can never enter the kingdom of love, because it is a kingdom full of harshness and stinginess." Women will only surrender to men of substance because only such men can provide them with a sense of security. They seek that security to face life's challenges. A hut made of straw, 2 golden hearts. There is nothing wrong with this. But one day, the people involved may have to suffer the consequences of the challenges of reality. Florentino is intelligent and talented. However, his weakness at that time acted as a nail, binding him to the bottom of society. Although he tried his best to express his sincere feelings, his lack of development over the years was a fatal blow to his love story. This is true for many people. When you like someone, you may throw away all your principles just to please that person, like a moth chasing after the flame of love. But in the end, when your love is not reciprocated, you will feel disappointed and lost. Why is it so unfair when I have sincerely given my love to someone? But what you don't realize is that the real issue lies with you. You are not good enough. You are not outstanding enough. No matter how much love you give, it cannot revive the future of both of you. Behind the veil of love, the essential daily needs are always practical issues. This is something anyone who rushes into love or marriage must face. Love is a marathon. After parting ways with Florentino, Fermina fell seriously ill. She was suffering from vomiting and diarrhea. Her father, thinking that she had contracted cholera, called in Dr. Juvenal Urbino to examine her. When Dr. Juvenal Urbino first saw Fermina, he was immediately overwhelmed by her beauty. This scene was witnessed by her father, and right after that, he came up with a plan. Dr. Juvenal Urbino came from a noble family, was highly skilled in medicine, and was involved in philanthropic activities, making him very influential in the local community. If he married his daughter, she would not only never have to worry about food or clothing for the rest of her life, but she would also have a solid support system. So Fermina's father tried to push the relationship forward, and the doctor began courting Fermina. After meeting him, Fermina felt that although Dr. Urbino wasn't very romantic, he had good prospects, treated her well, and could be a person worth entrusting her life to. Eventually, she agreed to marry Dr. Juvenal Urbino. Some say that marriage is merely a transaction, where both parties take what they need. Fermina's beauty and Dr. Juvenal Urbino's allure perfectly fit this description. It was like an exchange. Wherever they went, as long as Fermina was by his side, her beauty would make the doctor the center of attention and the object of envy. On the other hand, Fermina was no longer the daughter of a merchant. She had become the wife of the famous doctor. Juvenal Urbino, a woman of social standing who could enjoy wealth and prestige. As you know, no beauty escapes aging. The youthful face will eventually turn into wrinkled, dry leaves, and the slender figure will no longer feel as light as it once did. At this point, it seemed as though the balance in the original exchange was beginning to break down. As Fermina grew older, her elegance gradually faded, and she became a housewife living in the shadow of her husband. The constant household chores wore her out. Meanwhile, Dr. Juvenal Urbino's reputation grew, and his ambitions expanded. Eventually, he lost interest in Fermina's aging face and even had affairs with younger women. Although he eventually returned to his family, the couple increasingly found themselves in conflict, often arguing over trivial matters. Fermina had to spend the rest of her life in that tense atmosphere. In the novel Up in the Air, there's a quote that says, "Love is a game, and you must always maintain an equal footing with the other person in order to love each other for a long time. Because if one person is too strong, it will be exhausting, and if the other is too weak, it will be boring." Indeed, love is like a marathon. When two people are newly in love or married, they start at the same starting line. But whether they can reach the finish line together depends on each person's overall capabilities. If both people are on the same wavelength and maintain balance, their life together will be harmonious. But when one person isn't strong enough and the other continues to grow, the gap between them will widen. Without tolerance and love, the stronger one will take control in the relationship, while the other will become passive and accept the life they have. In Lael Lowndes' book, How to Make Anyone Fall in Love with You, a famous expert on interpersonal communication and relationship dynamics, which I have previously discussed in a video, she mentions a crucial factor in sustaining love: the principle of equivalency. It seems ridiculous to measure love as if it were a commodity on the market, right? But the truth is that's exactly how it works. Researchers have shown that the happiest relationships are those that achieve balance. The author lists 6 factors to help people choose a life partner and maintain their relationship: appearance, wealth, social status, knowledge, social grace, and personality. You can rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 for these 6 factors and compare them with your partner. Do you have comparable ratings for each factor? Even if you don't match exactly, the qualities and abilities that one of you possesses and the other does not may complement each other, balancing out to return you both to a position of equilibrium. So, remember, to cross the finish line together, both people need to have equivalent endurance. If the flowers bloom, bees and butterflies will surely come. Back then, when Florentino was heartbroken after hearing that Fermina had married, he fell into deep sadness, unwilling to speak, not eating or drinking, and crying through the night. Later, he learned a painful lesson and began to make efforts to change his situation. He went to his uncle's company to ask for a job, passed the harsh tests, and eventually earned his uncle's trust, becoming a key trainee in the company. Florentino's career started to soar, but emotionally he was still like a wanderer with no place to call home, because in his heart, there was always a space reserved for Fermina. Even though he had loved 622 lovers and had 25 notebooks filled with detailed contact information about them, the joy he felt was just a fleeting drop of morning dew, because it could never replace his unforgettable first love. Therefore, the only goal Florentino had for the rest of his life was to start over with Fermina. Florentino took great care of his body. Even in old age, he maintained his energy and strong physique. In his career, he excelled at everything with admirable ability. He later succeeded in becoming the president of the company, wealthy, powerful, and healthy. Florentino finally waited for the pivotal moment. Dr. Juvenal Urbino passed away. On the first day Fermina became a widow, before she could wipe away her tears of sorrow, Florentino appeared. He expressed the love he had kept for almost half a century for Fermina. But she was angry and threw Florentino out. Of course, he did not lose heart. He took up his pen again and wrote love letters to her. For Fermina, his letters were like a sedative. At this point, Fermina finally let go of her widowhood, heeding advice, and decided to board a cruise ship owned by Florentino's company. During this journey, Florentino arranged all the comforts for Fermina, and amid the clouds and the sea, he created an impossible love, detached from the world. The elderly couple had lost half of their lives but finally reunited, rekindling the love they had once shared in their youth. Someone asked, did Fermina truly feel moved by the love? If Florentino had not been capable as he was now, but rather a poor, ugly old man, suddenly showing up to say to Fermina, I will love you forever, would the outcome be the same as it is now? The clear answer is no. In fact, Fermina would never have chosen Florentino again if he had still been as weak as before. This is the reality of life. She decided to board the ship with Florentino because, by then, she knew that Florentino's feelings were deep, and his abilities gave her a sense of security. Plant the mahogany seed, and the phoenix will come. If the flowers bloom, the bees and butterflies will surely come. When you still haven't obtained what you truly desire, the first step is to look back at yourself. Instead of feeling frustrated and pessimistic, it is better to calm down. Train yourself through practical efforts to improve yourself. When that happens, you will not need to hold on to anything, nor try to win anyone's favor. You will be like a blooming flower, exuding a fragrance that naturally attracts admirers. Florentino's love, as written by Marquez, is like the cholera epidemic in America at the time. It spreads easily, it kills, and it is reborn. For Florentino, this pursuit of love lasting over half a century was like an obsession he could not let go of. In reality, what he was fixated on was the fact that he had been rejected before. Only when he proved his abilities and regained Fermina could he heal the pain in his heart and truly step out of the shadow of failure, regaining his long-lost self-esteem. Florentino's story is much like that of many of us, loving someone, giving all your efforts to pursue them, but feeling small and insignificant, like dust, and eventually not escaping the fate of rejection. For someone who doesn't love you, you may pour your youth and passion, but receive no genuine affection in return. However, the problem always lies with us. An author once said, "Among all the responsibilities in the world, the most fundamental responsibility is to become yourself, to live with a personality and unique value. Don't chase after a horse when you are not strong enough yourself. Instead, take the time to chase that horse while planting your own grass. When spring is warm and flowers bloom, the horse will naturally come to you. On either side of the scale of love, don't let your personality, abilities, and undeveloped conditions make you unstable on that scale. The premise of love is to first become an excellent version of yourself. Only by continually pushing yourself to shine and reflect on yourself can you light the love of your life. The more capable you are, the more naturally the one you like will approach you. The wise see wisdom, the virtuous see virtue. With the same issue, each person will have a different perspective. With the same book, each person will have a unique understanding. Today's video is an insight and reflection from Rise Up after reading this book, and I would like to share it with all of you for reference and learning. As for the love in this book, personally, I don't like Dr. Juvenal Urbino because he is an adulterous man. I also don't like Florentino because while he could keep the love of his 51 years, 9 months, and 4 days relationship, he still managed to love 622 other women. I also don't like Fermina because, after all, she didn't truly love her husband nor Florentino. She only chose the person she expected to be most suitable for a certain period of time. To me, this book is not just about simple love, but it is a book that helps us learn from the characters, realistically portrayed like real life, helping you understand how to love, how to nurture, and how to build your happiness before and while loving someone. No matter what, love yourself first. Learn how to make yourself better, because when you change yourself, you will naturally become better, and you will have enough generosity and know how to truly love. You will give unconditional love, not turn affection into an exchange. What we need to do is achieve a state of balance and maintain that state in love. Balance is the best state to sustain lasting affection. I really like this quote. Learn how to be a person from the umbrella. When you cannot shelter others from the sun or the rain, no one will raise you up. Remember, as long as you become better, everything else will improve gradually. To love others first, learn how to fill yourself up. The way you love yourself teaches others how to love you. I hope all of us can be sincere, using our excellence to experience beautiful and true love in this life. Thank you for listening. If you find this video helpful, please share it with those who need it. Support me with a like, hit the follow button, and turn on notifications to watch the latest videos. Thank you, and see you in the next videos.